5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff of the Atlas V rocket MRO. I work at NASA's Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral in Florida. My job entails being a public affairs information specialist. Public affairs means I'm a public affairs officer, and my job involves being a spokesman for the news media primarily, but also to the general public as well.
At T-minus 102 minutes, 13 seconds and counting.
I've been a launch commentator since about 1983. It's really a twofold thing. Primarily, I look at it as a conduit from the Launch Control Center in the firing room to the outside world. There's a lot of preparation that goes into a launch commentary on launch day.
Now, what's the status of the spacecraft on top of the vehicle right now, and what's the...
A lot of it involves becoming thoroughly familiar with the countdown procedure, but in addition, you have to pull together a lot of the background of the mission, all of the video that we want to show that supports what the spacecraft or what the astronauts will be doing and what we've done to get ready for that.
From the belly of the L-1011, the Pegasus will ignite 5 seconds later. And
in addition to that, the expectation that we're going to have things to work that we don't anticipate, so that there are particular areas of a mission or of a countdown that we need to bone up on each time, because we know as we go along there are particular points in a countdown where if you're going to have a problem, that's where it's going to occur.
I know of two issues at this moment. That's the spacecraft communication with Astrotech, and then
so you want to be fully familiar with those systems and the kind of things that can happen, and be sure that how you're going to explain it is actually accurate. You work in advance with the NASA test director or the launch director or some of the engineers to be sure that you're fully familiar with some of these different parts of the countdown or of the launch vehicle.
Launch Manager Chuck DeVal to talk to us about the anomaly that scrubbed today's launch attempt.
20 seconds. T-minus 15. T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, green board, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, engine start, and liftoff of the Delta II rocket carrying the Spirit from Earth to planet Mars.
Load relief kick rate is in, vehicles responding. Vehicles recovering very nicely from the liftoff train.
John Glenn, when he came for launch on the space shuttle, that was my first chance to meet a living legend. And to find out what he was really like was quite a thrill, because I found that he has a love for this place like all the employees do here. And he never sloughed anybody off, even though he was on a deadline. And that, I think, was the great personal thrill for me, was to meet him, to talk with him, to find out that he was everything I hoped that someone of his stature would be.
From Space Launch Complex 2.
Such a fulfilling area to go into, because you're in something that advances us as a nation and as a race of people. So it's a very good thing, a good career to pursue, and especially right now, because we're past the point where it's not just the government, it's commercial interests, and it's our international partners, and everybody has got growing roles now in space, but they're different than what they used to be. I think the most rewarding part is that when a launch has gone well.
Go for main engine start. 7, 6, 5, 3 engines up and burning. 3, 2, 1, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery, beginning America's new journey to the moon, Mars, and beyond. And the vehicle has cleared the tower.
You feel that you've done a good job in that countdown, and then it lifts off and it actually gets into space and the whole thing has gone perfectly. Then you have a very good feeling of knowing that you did a very good job in that, and that you were part of that mission. That's the rewarding thing to me. It is that so many of these missions are historic, and for me, particularly the planetary flights, and to have done one of the launch commentaries to be able to look back and say, you know, how successful that was, and that I was part of that. It's a great feeling. I'm George Diller, a NASA launch commentator and a public affairs information specialist at the Kennedy Space Center at Cape Canaveral.